I don't know when. There we go. We are live.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Ba-da-da-da-da. Alrighty. It is February 8th, 2019. I'm Micah Sargent, and right now we are going to talk about new emoji that might be coming later this year or next year, depending. Apple releasing a bug fix for FaceTime. Angela Ahrendts leaving Apple. Companies still selling our data without our consent. Surprise, surprise. And maybe some more, because this is the iMore Show. Joining us this week, well, I gotta tell you, Lori is not with us because right now she is enjoying a nice spot of tea in London. We are excited for her, but sad that she's not here with us and can't wait for her return. But
on a special rock and roll assignment, is that true?
I hope so. I hope she's rocking and rolling over there. But we will be rocking and rolling over here. That was Renee Ritchie of Vector fame.
Ba-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da. Sorry.
That's okay. That's a good show.
That was part of Gina leaving and me still being here.
That's true. That's what you were going to talk about today.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Oh,
You do a big
it's Gina
song.
leaving, not Angela leaving. Oh, we get so confused on this show.
The one doing the confusing, it's Georgia Dow. How you doing, Georgia?
I'm good. Causing trouble. You know how it goes.
I know how you do. I do. But we are excited to have a fun little show today. We're going to kick things off. Let's talk first, because it's a bit of a follow-up discussion. As we talked about before, there was a FaceTime bug. Essentially, what happened was someone could call another person with FaceTime, and then group calling was a new feature that was added with FaceTime. And if they went into the add a person to group calling feature and added their own phone number after placing a call, then it would essentially allow them to answer the other person's phone, and you could then hear what was taking place on that other person's device. Obviously a bug, obviously a problem. Apple has released iOS 12.1.4, and that fixes this bug. And so definitely get to downloading to save yourself from those issues. Renee, you tweeted about this and kind of talked about how if you're on a beta right now and you're waiting for that fix, you might still be waiting a little bit.
Yeah, so I believe the beta is scheduled for next Monday. But if you either don't update to the new to 12.1.4 because you want to jailbreak, or you just don't trust it, or you want to wait, or whatever reason, or you're on the developer track, FaceTime Groups is still turned off for you until you update to the beta. So it's not like Apple just put out the update, turn everything back on, and now those of you who haven't updated are at the mercy of this bug and pranksters everywhere. You have to update to get the feature to return to functionality. They also announced that they're going to be awarding a bug bounty, even though usually Apple only awards bug bounties to people who are members of the bug bounty program, but they're going to be awarding it to the young gentleman who discovered the bug. They're also going to make a special donation towards his education, and they listed him and somebody else. I'm blanking on the name now, but somebody else who also discovered the bug like a day before it went public on 9 to 5 Mac. They credited them, both of them, in the security updates.
Cool.
Which was nice. Yeah.
So now everybody out there, you need to find a bug of your own to report to Apple and get some monies from that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, Apple is wary in general. So also there's another ongoing scandal that Apple doesn't yet have a bug bounty program for Mac. So there is a security researcher who has dropped 0-day vulnerabilities in the past, which is never a good thing, who's found a new vulnerability and says he will not disclose it until Apple creates a bug bounty program for Mac and pays him. But Apple's always weary of these things because they don't want to get in a bidding war with, like, foreign states pay millions of dollars for iOS vulnerabilities because they want to use them against their people and other people. And criminals pay fortunes for these bugs because they want to use them to hack our devices. And the last thing Apple wants is, Iran's giving me $1 million. China's giving me $1.1 million. The U.S. mob is giving me $1.2 million. Russian mob's offering $1.3 million. Apple's offering $1.4. Hold it.
But wait, with Apple offering no money, doesn't it still just mean that people would, go for the highest bidder and then just give it to the other places anyways? Like, what does Apple offering nothing really do?
They're not offering nothing. They've rolled out the iOS beta program, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Mac beta program roll out very soon as well. But they want to reward researchers for their work with fair compensation. They don't want to be part of the bidding war for exploits. And that's a little bit controversial because nobody pays a lot. No company wants to pay a lot for bugs, but there are companies I think that probably will pay more.
That is, see, it's a tough thing because when I put on my rose tinted shades and I pretend that the world is a fully good place and everybody in it has a Care Bear heart of joy, then that is a world in which I believe that regardless of how much a bad person is trying to give me, I would still take the route of making sure that people are safe. And that's what I want to believe is the case. And in that sense, it makes sense what Apple's saying. It's that we don't negotiate with terrorists kind of point of view. But there's also the real world where not everybody does have a Care Bear heart of joy. And
show title.
A good show title.
I don't know what's a bad thing, a bad heart. And in those cases, you do kind of hope that good folks will win out against the bad folks. And I don't know what that takes, but I agree with Apple fundamentally. But when it comes to the issues at hand, you either want Apple to do a better job of its own engineers finding these things, or you want them to get into, I don't want them to get into the bidding war, but I do want them to get into the bidding war if it's the difference between a foreign power having this ability to access data of anybody versus them not having that power.
Look at Jeff Bezos, right? Jeff Bezos famously, he wrote on Medium last night that the National Enquirer's parent company, AMI, was threatening to extort him with compromising photographs if he didn't drop his investigation of them and say what they wanted him to say. And that investigation was led by a private security firm that determined that his phone, and we believe it's an iPhone, he's kind of he has tweeted from an iPhone and from the web interface, so it sounds like it might be an iPhone, was not compromised, which means that they might have been intercepted. They might have intercepted his messages en route, and that this could have been the result of a foreign power that had, because we often talk about in security, both the threat level and the economic resources you can bring to bear. And nation states have the highest level of economic resources. They can bring, CIA, Chinese intelligence, Russian intelligence, all these places. They have so much money they can throw at a target if they want to, that it could have been the result of that. And we've also seen some iOS exploits in the wild that have only been used by foreign states to target journalists or dissidents or those sorts of things. So there is a real market. Even in the US, there were those gray boxes that were being offered to law enforcement to break into iPhones that they see. So there's a real profit and political driven market for this kind of stuff. You don't live in your rosy world, Micah.
That's why I want them to pay something that's fair, so the good people will say, just like buying music, they're like, you know what, this is fair. I'm going to do the right thing. I think most people want to do the right thing, and so if they can, again, more people trying to make sure that everything is secure, they get a little bit of a stipend for their time to be able to deal with that. It just seems like it would be the right answer all the way around. So I hope that Apple just pays people for a fair amount, not exorbitant amounts of time. I totally understand you don't deal with people trying to play off, so that, there's less chance of, again, foreign governments or anyone else hacking into systems and we're not aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to decide what fair is, because everybody has a different definition, I think, of what fair is. True, yeah. And again, like you said, you want to believe that most people are good people, and so do I. And so you want to believe that if Apple offers a fair sum, whatever that happens to be, as we define it, then the person would choose that option instead of giving a bad actor the stuff and getting $1 million from it, profiting off of a bad thing. So I don't know, that's what I hope for. I hope that the person who's sort of holding this stuff hostage is just wanting some sort of compensation. And so that's why they're waiting for Apple to do a bug bounty program. And maybe it's, I haven't looked enough into it to know, but maybe it's sort of a bigger sort of, hey, people who are finding these bugs should get some compensation for this. So I'm sort of holding this, hoping that you'll make a bug bounty program. So not just me, but other people who find these bugs can get help from it. But
yeah, there's Google at the same time, right after the bug fix came out, Google said that 2 of their bugs had been patched as well, which were both 0-day, and they believed it had already been exploited in the wild. So like this is serious grown-up business that they're doing. And the internet is not good with like multiple, like I said this before, the internet's not good with multiple truths. It's also good with multiple wrongs. Like Apple is wrong for not having the Mac bounty program up and running, but you're also wrong for kind of holding people hostage with the bug. So like if I was in their position, I would like them to disclose as publicly as you want, humiliate Apple about the Mac bounty program as much as you want in the media coverage that goes with your disclosure, include it in every talk and every video and everything, but get that bug fixed, because the thing with bugs is that you never know who else has already discovered and is using it. You know, it's math at the end of the day, and no one has exclusivity on math.
It's true.
I think the British have exclusivity on math because they call it maths.
Maths.
Yeah, so they get exclusivity.
And pant, right? Like we have pants, they have pant. Like who made the negotiations for exchanging these S's? It's very bizarre.
And what about those U's? Where did they get those? Well, I guess
Canada has the U, but we use the Z, not the S. The way like
right?
it's so. I know. I blame James Thompson.
I say it differently than I sing the alphabet than when I say it. So
how do you sing it?
A Z.
Okay, and then you say it Z?
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know how that works.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, Z sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. Do we have any last thoughts on this bug fix other than, hey, folks, go get that
Go update.
fixed.
This is why you should update. Don't follow Georgia.
Georgia said update.
You should update. You should update. I'm pretty good with updating the OS for this reason. It's apps that you don't want to take a look at.
Oh, we didn't mention in the show notes, but is sort of related to this. Apple laid out. So TechCrunch has been amazing lately, absolutely amazing. John Constantine and Zach Whitaker, they found out that Facebook was running that dodgy research app using enterprise certificates and paying teens and other people. They broke that open, and they broke open the Google app that was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then they reported on, is it Glassdoor?
Glassdoor?
Glassdoor, that developers are running. Not developers.
Oh, yeah.
Apps like hotels.com and some banking apps are running to like screenshot while we're doing, which is so dumb, because if we're pressing buttons on your stupid app, you're getting the server side call. You know what we're doing already. You don't need to be a skeezy screen grabber at the same time. But they are being skeezy screen grabbers.
That sounds like a great nickname, you skeezy. It's like those things for the movies. Don't be a skeezy screen grabber.
And like, so Facebook was abusing this on both iOS and Google. Google said nothing. Apple, took away their certificate. Google was fond to be doing the same thing. Apple took away their certificate, took them a day to get it back, which some people think is lax, but that means that nothing ever signed with that certificate will ever work again. So if they had other skeezy apps out there, those are all dead too. It's like, we're going to stamp
the day after.
Well, no, they'd have to re-sign them and redeploy them with a new certificate. And then I think they would get like a mass driver nuclear reaction. But anyways, and then, so this TechCrunch found this Glass
box. I just looked it up. Glass box.
And Apple the next day said, you have 24 hours to remove this from the apps, or we will be removing your apps. I mean, Apple, they don't play anymore.
Yeah, I love it. I love that they're not playing around anymore. Let's see, it's like, I'm trying to think of it's a dog who first learns to walk downstairs or walk upstairs. Like that first time, it's very terrifying. But if you take on a full flight of stairs, then after that, little bits of stairs off the back porch are nothing. And so now that they've taken on Facebook and Google, all these other companies that are much smaller in terms of sort of their clout, it's no big deal. So once they've done those big ones,
it's the Henry story.
Yeah, so once they've done these big companies, now it's like no sweat to say, listen, we're just gonna make this all the way across the board. Y'all have got to stop doing this to our customers. And I
think they need to implement the 3 strikes you're out kind of thing.
Or 1 strike in this case.
Well, then Facebook would already be gone.
You mean gone? Like never allowed in the App Store again?
You abuse our people, we wipe you.
Wow.
Then we go after your family.
Like, why not? Don't disrespect the people that use your applications, and if not, find some other OS to hang out with. We're no longer friends. Rules and boundaries.
That's the why not there, because Facebook, for some reason, I have deleted
Have
mine.
you? Good
Yeah, mine's
job. Look at you.
150% gone now, which
Oh, I love
I'm so
it.
happy about it. It's bye-bye. But for like a lot of people, I mean, Facebook is still among the top, regularly among the top apps that are downloaded.
Instagram is a hard one for me. I've said this before, but like
yeah,
I quit
I still
Facebook
have
hard, but
Instagram too.
Instagram's hard.
Yeah, I do understand that.
Yeah, I'm so sad. Like, I wish that Instagram was not owned by Facebook, because I would. And I don't know if you saw, but in Mark Zuckerberg's earnings call, he's talking about combining Messenger and Instagram and others all together. Like, no! At that point, I honestly think that I will get rid of Instagram. If that happens, I'm going to delete my Instagram account.
And he's doing it just so that they can't be forced to divest Instagram too, because he is the noblest. As ever, he is the noblest of souls.
Yeah, that breaks my heart.
You can see how much empathy he has in his eyes.
He has data made manifest.
Well, lore. I think he's closer to lore than to data.
Fair. That's fair. You're right.
He'll just straight up snap your neck and then go back to eating his brownies.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. I'm sorry, but it's true.
It's like crunch.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Continuing to talk about Apple, there's a executive shakeup happening. Angela Ahrendts is leaving Apple soon. So she's been in charge for 5 years now, and will be leaving Apple, and Deirdre O'Brien will be replacing her as the new SVP, that's Senior Vice President of Retail and People.
Yep. I was so angry the way Twitter reacted to this, Micah. Can I just say that? I was so angry. Like, I looked at all these people. Some of them I know to be like, semi-smart. Some of them I know are always like looking for the latest, hottest of hot takes. And it's just like, oh, she must have been fired. Oh, she was fired because of China. Oh, she was fired because of iPhone XR. Oh, she was fired. Oh, she was fired because Apple has a toxic culture. And it was just like one of like a procession of the dumbest stuff I had ever seen, with like no thought, no context. No one ever. Did you try asking her first? Hot shot. I mean. She was passed over for her CEO job, and so she's quitting. Like, but they have a CEO.
What? That's okay. That last one is incredibly bizarre to me.
The whole thing is bizarre to me. Apple's like, no, they're not always totally candid. Sometimes they won't throw Intel under a bus, no matter how much Intel deserves it. They're always very polite about Intel, but they're also typically pretty candid. And if you look at her string of interviews, it's really clear that she conquered Burberry. She's pretty much conquered Apple retail, and she just wants to retire and live a little bit of her life and travel. And her kids are still in London. She said her made her husband move twice already, and it's his turn now. So this seems like to me exactly what it is on the surface.
So that's how I feel about it too, not knowing anything. I think that what I've seen, like the positive aspects, and something that I talked about earlier this week, it's Angela Ahrendts was brought into the company at a time when we were continuing to see the iPhone sales climb and climb and climb and climb and climb. And it just got to a point where it was unreasonable to have a bajillion people standing outside of AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, and all those other carrier stores, as well as Apple stores on day one to order or to get devices on launch day. And every single time there was a pre-order day, Ahrendts was on different shows talking about how she was at some headquarters somewhere, in the war room, watching these pre-orders fly in digitally. And yes, there have always been a few issues and hiccups that have happened, and some people don't end up getting an order until later, and some people have the issue where their orders didn't go through, and blah, blah, blah. But on the whole, it was a very good process, and a lot better than, again, having people freezing their tails off sitting outside of Apple stores, or heating their tails off sitting outside of Apple stores.
There were two that I hated. One was when she got blamed for a lot of the stuff that Steve Jobs and Ron Johnson originated. Like, she never designed the beginning. She didn't design the original stores. She expanded them, but if you want to get angry at the original store design, which included like no cash registers, but like Genius bars and stuff like that, that's all predates her, and she didn't change it, but she didn't originate it. But also, she merged the online and retail stores. You could not previously you could not order to your store. You could not return something you ordered online to your store. The support was much more complicated. We've got all these apps that do so much stuff now. Today at Apple, the store redesigns, she accomplished a lot in 5 years.
It's just sad to have all of the gossip, and a lot of it is like that she must have been fired or left in an angry kind of thing. I think that that's a more interesting story, and so they
Mm,
jump to that.
mm.
But I think that that goes to people not being able to trust what happens because they, there's all of this conjecture that is usually strongly negative in one way or the other. Apple's angry at her, she's angry at Apple, something really big kind of shook up kind of happened where, it doesn't have to be that, and they just, want to make it as juicy as possible.
As juicy as possible. And I think that you're dead on there. It's not an interesting story that is just time for a transition or what have you. No matter when this was announced, no matter how it was announced, there are always going to be people who are speculating about this or that or the other. And that's just the way that things work. But I
I
think
mean, they did for Bob Mansfield. He was very happily. My family wants to spend more time with my money, so I'm buying a castle and just living there. And then later he came back because he came back to work on Titan. And maybe she'll come back to work on the Titan showrooms, or maybe she'll work with, I don't know, Ralph Lauren or somebody. But like,
that makes me so sad. My family
has
wants
made
to
her
spend,
money. She gets to enjoy it.
my family wants to spend time with my money is the saddest statement I've ever heard. But what I'm saying, like, I think that we should look at the cool things that happened while she was there for 5 years and celebrate those things. Because regardless of why she's leaving, regardless of who made the decision on her leaving and what was the stuff behind that, there were positives that took place. And people really genuinely seemed to, like, the people who worked for Apple seemed to genuinely like Angela Ahrendts. And when she took the stage, people seemed to genuinely like, her presentations and talking about those different things. And by the way, she was fly as heck all the time. And I thought that was fantastic because you've got, it was good. All good all around. And so I think that it's just good to look at those positive things that have taken place and be happy that you're not waiting outside of an AT&T store like I was, being told, well, sorry, if you want to get an iPhone on day one, you're just going to have to get the larger capacity size because we are out of the smaller size. This has been years ago.
Cold and raining on you when you hear it. It's just
And by the way, I also really had to use the restroom that day, and I was just stuck in line. And I got inside finally, and I said, I know we're about to do this, but can I please use the restroom? This is an emergency. And they let me use the employee restroom. Thank you, AT&T.
Sweet.
Okay.
Anyway, very good stuff there. And I say congratulations to a rockin' job, Angela Ahrendts.
Oh, can I add one thing? Deirdre, who's taking over, is phenomenal. Some people, were like, oh, Apple doesn't have a succession plan. That's why they're scrambling last minute. No, Deirdre helped launch the online and the retail stores. Deirdre was VP of operations under Tim Cook. She's been at Apple, I think, like 20 or 30 years, maybe. And she's worked with all of these people before. So she's phenomenally well positioned.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that she was VP of operations under Cook too. Like all of these things add up.
All the good things keep going, and like she just shores up the day to day.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, again, congratulations to Deirdre and congratulations to Angela Ahrendts and her family who gets to spend time with her money. And
she seems like a lot of fun, I have to say. She probably is going to really enjoy she's worked really hard. She's probably going to enjoy to have some wonderful time.
I agree. All righty. Well, folks, I would like to tell you about our pals at Thrifter. And I don't care who does it, Georgia or Renee or both. I would like both of you to go to thrifter.com and find an awesome deal while I'm talking about Thrifter. So if you haven't heard about Thrifter, then you haven't been listening to the iMore Show. And if you haven't, welcome to your first episode of the iMore Show. We rock. So thrifter.com is a way to save money based on value and not hype. What does that mean? It means you're not getting those fake deals where the company pays $5 to make a product and then they charge you $7 and say it originally cost $30. No, these are real deal discounts. These are real human beings going out and finding the best deals available, curating them, dropping them into a place where you can easily find them so you can get the good stuff. If you go to thrifter.com and sign up, you're going to get thoughtfully selected deals sent to your inbox daily. It's all the stuff and none of the fluff at thrifter.com. All right. I don't know who's doing it. I don't know if you're both doing it, but somebody tell me about an awesome deal on thrifter.com.
So I'll start off with something that just looked really cool to me, which was the Once Upon a Deal. It is a tell a story with the new Lego Ideas pop-up book. It's just it's so cool. So you can like build different ideas when you're doing a book in the little Lego pop-up book, and it's like $56. So it's like really
God, I
cheap.
love Lego ideas so much.
That's just a really it's just a
Pop-up
really
book, a Lego
cool
pop-up book is so
idea.
cool. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. I also caught my eye for something a little bit more mundane, though. Is $99 off the new 9.7-inch iPad with 128 gigabytes, down from $429 to $330.
Oh yeah, that's a good
If you want
deal.
to iPad yourself, yeah, you can do that for less.
A new verb, folks. If you want to iPad yourself, here's how you do so.
There's another one that's pretty cool, and that is a Oki Nightlight that has charging ports in it. So you end up with a little tiny nightlight, which is always really great. This one I'm looking into maybe getting just because that sounds like just so great. And so it's a nightlight, so it's great at night when you need to go to the washroom or deal with something, but also then they have charging ports and plugs
Oh yeah.
on the side. So you get your charging, you get extra plugs. So some people would want this just for the extra plugs.
Mhm.
And
there's
there's a
even
little nightlight, and there's a little place to put your phone. I'm like, I don't know.
yes.
This one is
For $14, this is great.
$14.
I'm still looking at the Lego. Is that wrong?
Normally
Okay.
20, it's down to 14. Yeah, it's the nightlight on the front, the plugs on the side, and then a little place to put your phone too.
Mhm.
Very
Isn't
clever.
that cute?
Wow. All right. That is thrifter.com. We're all very distracted now by the site because they always do have really awesome deals. It's not just tech alone. I mean, the Lego stuff I wouldn't consider tech. It's all kinds of cool deals that you can get at thrifter.com. So heading there and signing up will get those deals sent directly to your inbox. You can also go to Thrifter Daily on Twitter. And if you're in Canada, at ThrifterCA, and if you're in the UK, at ThrifterUK, and that's another place for you to get those super cool deals. Thanks so much to Thrifter for sponsoring this week's episode of the iMore Show. Let's talk about the how many 230 new emoji that have made the final list for 2019.
Talk about emoji, baby.
I think it's called Emoji Palooza.
Emoji Palooza! Emoji 12.0 is going to contain 230 new emoji. That number is a little bit deceiving because
clarify for people that it's like not Apple that makes up these emoji. There's like a standard.
Don't be angry at Apple. They do not deal. They're not the consortium. They don't choose it. They just
here we go.
amplify it.
A while, like, oh god, it's been like six years now. I don't know. A long time ago, I dived into the research and made a video explaining where emoji come from, how they're created, what's in charge of it.
When two of you love each other very much, a combined emoji comes out.
That's exactly how it works. Apple and Google generally get sort of dinged for being the creators of emoji or not making certain emoji, or when new emoji come out, then they get thanked for making emoji. That's not how emoji work. So there is for folks who don't know, there is a thing and it is called Unicode. And Unicode is sort of a way for computers and humans to communicate with one another. It is a way to sort of universalize communication on your computers and other devices. So whereas it would be very complicated for multiple languages that have different symbols, for emoji, which are varying, for pluses and minuses and a whole bunch of bajillion different math signs that exist, to try and get those to work on all these devices by supporting each and individual character on its own, that's complicated. So what Unicode does is it sits in between those things and it assigns every single one of these characters with a code. And that code is what the computer or device or what have you uses to figure out what it needs to display, be it on your phone, on the computer, or elsewhere. So Unicode adds new stuff to its body all the time. It adds it's responsible for a subset of the Unicode consortium is the Emoji subcommittee, and they're responsible for taking new emoji suggestions and accepting new emoji to be added to the list. Now, one of the goals of the Unicode subcommittee, of the emoji subcommittee, is actually to transition away from being in charge of emoji because of the way that emoji have taken off. Yeah, there is a goal, and I can't remember where I've read this, but I mean, I've read it in, Unicode's documents, but they are looking at new ways, because when you start to think about, and we'll talk about this soon, these 230 new emoji, so many of them are less about the emoji themselves and more about different skin tone options being shown and different versions of characters. And Unicode is kind of like, we're doing a whole lot to make sure that we cover every single one of our bases. And it's a lot of work for the Unicode consortium to do. And so they're looking at new future ways to handle emoji that doesn't have anything to do with them. But for now, the Unicode consortium is responsible for emoji. And that means that Apple as a company is not responsible for emoji. And Google as a company is not responsible for emoji. Neither is Samsung, neither are the other ones. However, they are responsible for the way that those emojis show up on your device. Unicode will give a basic black and white example of how they think that an emoji should look, but the company is responsible for rendering it how they choose. That means that Apple has artists that create emoji. Google has artists that create emoji. Twitter has artists that create emoji. So many different companies have artists that create emoji. And so the code gets dropped in, and then the device, so iOS, for example, that software will translate it into the image that Apple has chosen. It's also a tiny, tiny, tiny bit inaccurate to say that Apple and Google are not responsible in any way for emoji, because people on the emoji subcommittee also happen to be people who work for Apple and Google, respectively, some of them. And so that they are, in a way, they've got their hand in the pie. And there is a pie emoji, and they've got their pinching hand in the pie emoji. And so, yes, there is some responsibility there.
This, right?
They've got this much responsibility when it comes to emoji. So
George's head right now.
Yeah.
I was like,
squishing both of your
is that the small emoji? You're like,
So let's talk about these new emoji. Now that we've gone over, I'm sure there were some people who skipped ahead, like, oh my God, the number of times I've heard about
George, people already responding to the eggplant with the tiny fingers. So I mean, this is how
there's also that one face that's like,
yes.
That face is not okay. No one used that face. Anyway, so let's talk about these new emoji. We've got some, there's like a yawning face, which is going to be fun. I can't wait to send my partner that whenever he sends me something that I'm just like, I'm bored of this. Then I can send him the yawning face. Pinching hand, which, as we said, has already been used in some cases. But some exciting new additions in terms of inclusivity and accessibility include an ear with a hearing aid, a deaf person signing, and that includes both person, man, and woman. So person is a gender neutral character. Mechanical arm, mechanical leg, people with probing canes, people in motorized wheelchairs, people in manual wheelchairs. Those are super cool. Guide dog and service dog. Oh, my heart. They're so cute too. And then lots of different characters, including which on the highway, and I didn't see it until too late, which meant that I ran over a said dead skunk, and there was still some scent lingering around, and it was in my car for the next like 30 minutes. So I'm just going to avoid that skunk emoji in case it also releases a scent into my existence. I'm not excited about that. These are, I mean, there are a whole bunch here, but a lot of them come from the additions of new methods of displaying emoji. So, for example, the gender inclusive couple allows for two persons to be together. So 2-person emojis, those are gender neutral emoji, as well as a woman and a woman holding hand, a woman and a man holding hands, or a man and a man holding hands. Those are all a bunch of different options, but then mixed skin tones for each of those different options. So if you can imagine, you've already got these different genders represented, but then each of those can also display different skin tones for both characters.
Which is a big deal. Like that adds to the number of like, you know, all the
Huge.
different tones, adds to the number of emoji, but that's like really wonderful because like this is all like I think that this set of emoji really talks about inclusivity and our differences and kind of like really just brings them to the forelight that you can feel represented by your emoji. And that's just really wonderful that you can have yourself and someone else, whoever you love or care about, or one of your best friends, whatever that might be. And you can really represent that in a way that might make you feel just like, yeah, this is really about me.
Yeah. And I think it's fantastic. So the Unicode,
I just feel about scrolling through to find it.
that is the thing.
Search,
That's going to be a lot of scroll.
And that's where when the Unicode committee meets every year and they talk about sort of what's next and how we stop worrying about emoji, that's one of the things that they talk about. It's getting unwieldy because Unicode is not responsible for the way that emoji are allowed to be picked or displayed or what have you. And so it really is, the onus is on these companies to figure out a way to do this. And if we think about right now, the way that we choose a skin tone, we sort of hold down on one of the characters and then choose between 6. When you tap on that person holding hands emoji, now it's going to have all these different options. So it's going to be kind of difficult to figure out how to do that. The Unicode itself offers 70 additions for those mixed couples holding hands, but Facebook has 125 different combinations and Windows has 52,000 different combinations because they also allow you to do any skin tone for any family member. So there's an emoji for, I think it's like 4 people to make up a family. And it'll let you choose every single skin tone for every single member of the family. So you can find exactly who you're looking for. But that just compounds and compounds and compounds. So that's 52,000 combinations. Last but not least, all of the shapes in Emoji 12.0, so that's squares, circles, and hearts, will be able to be rendered in red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, black, and brown. So right now, the hearts almost come in every color, but the circles and the squares don't come in every color. And so this edition will give all of these different options for all of the different shapes that are available, which people can use for whatever reason. One of the things I thought was kind of cool that they mentioned is that people can make some new kinds of emoji pixel art. So if you can imagine using red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, black, and brown squares to then create this giant representation of someone's face or something like that, that's going to be super cool. So I'm waiting for that website to be built. I'm sure somebody out there is working on it right now. And you'll be able to upload a photo and then completely render it in emoji. That'll be so cool.
I'm still waiting for us to be able to touch and hold on French fries to get options for poutine, tater tots, and what was the third one? Baked potato. I don't know. We can hold the third one up
all the potato options. See, there are probably going to be 10,000 combinations of potato options by the time we're done.
God, gratine.
See, you have to submit, Renee,
to the will of Jeremy. I know. I understand.
No. You gotta send in your proposal for poutine because all we've got right now. I mean, we've got butter. Well, that's not really butter. There needs to be like mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah,
and then,
cheese, gravy, fries.
Fries. Because right now there are ways that essentially when you see an emoji, secretly it is multiple codes that make up that emoji.
2-byte? Is that what they call those? A 2-byte character or something?
Oh golly. There's a specific name for it, and I don't have it on.
I used to do that for Chinese characters as well because there were too many to fit in a normal. Anyways, I don't remember.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah, there are loads of new options that are available, and so some of the like bald characters are actually a mixture of multiple emoji. It's both the normal character plus the red hair emoji, or the curly hair emoji, or the white hair emoji, or the bald headed emoji. So it's a way for the Unicode to not introduce all new character codes, and a way for the system to not have to introduce new character codes. So it makes it a little bit simpler for everybody to create these. But anywho, yeah, the list is getting very long, and I don't know about you folks, but I've found myself using Apple's smart keyboard suggestions or text replacement suggestions for emoji now.
I do that too.
Yeah, it's like I type in
I'll
smile.
sometimes,
and
I'll
it gives me
type it
4
in and I'll
different
be
options.
like, you know,
Yeah, this is the
woohoo.
one
And
I
I
want.
would just,
Can we-
I usually give up and I'm not color coding anything just because, like,
Can
I'll
we
go to
play
my
on my
favorites.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, that's okay. I'll go to my favorites and be able to have my main ones that are safe. But that is the problem, is that it's very time consuming now to be able to search through them. We'll have to see what they figure out to be able to make, like, Apple's usually pretty good at making things relatively searchable. So I'm like hoping that they put them in groupings that now for me would be able to make sense, but it's going to be difficult to find your emoji. I might emoji less because there's too much emoji.
Can we?
Go ahead,
Can we play?
Renee.
Can we play an old Micah Sargent game where we admit to our top 4 or top 8 most frequent
Yes.
emojis?
And while we're looking, I will tell
Oh
you
my.
the name for, like, within Unicode for those characters that are multiple characters combined is actually called Emoji ZWJ sequences. And that is because they are 0-width joiner sequences, meaning that those characters combine to form a single character. So an example of that would be a man with blonde hair is the combination of person with blonde hair and the male sign emoji. And those two are then rendered as the man with blonde hair.
It's like we're reinventing pictographic characters that the Chinese had 5,000 years ago.
Exactly. This is, yeah.
Roach and the phonetic.
Okay, let's see. What are my most used emoji?
Are we going on the top row or the leftmost row? I don't know how this.
I don't know which one it is.
I don't know, because I know
the
that
top
the
row
one
doesn't
that
look accurate to me.
the top row does not look at all accurate to me, because it gives me my top then most used one is the red diamonds. I don't think I've ever used the red diamonds.
You are infrequently used.
The other ones, the second row downwards, and then the next second row. I don't know. Strange.
I'll just show my recently.
Oh, Mike and I have the same most recent emoji because we live in the same universe. Yeah,
I have like not even close to the same.
Oh my god!
Emoji. Wait, I got to move mine a little bit the other way. Wait.
Red diamond.
I'm not. I don't know why.
So mine are, if people who are listening not watching, mine is laughing, crying, the thank you because I was thanking a bunch of people on Twitter, the muscle arm because I was making fun of Kevin Mitchell's guns, the orange heart because I use that for vector, the 2 hands high up because I adopted Serenity Caldwell's usage of that as high praise, then the Scotch glass because I think it was Aaron Mank who was talking about drinking after he finished the latest episode of Lore, the choice emoji, I forget why, and then drooling because all my biltong arrived from the local South African.
Which is the one that's drool? Oh, the really drooly one. Okay.
No, just a little bit of drool. Just a little.
Let me just take a look. Wait a second.
It's kind of a. Wait, let me see.
I thought it was the cry. Is that the one with the tears coming out of their eyes? Isn't that crying?
You're coming to the.
It's like a weird. There's like.
Oh, that one. That's drool.
Yeah, that's drool.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't understand how to use that emoji.
She's a psychologist. She thought it was a fugue state.
It's kind of used in creepy ways, though, because I've had someone comment on my photos with that multiple times, and I'm like, no, please don't drool at me. That's weird.
Do I have to stop using it?
No, I
don't
think
I think you need to stop using it. I'm just going to take a look at that one. That one.
Ever since Georgia told me about how freaked out she is by the hug emoji,
the gropey. It's not hug. It's gropey emoji.
I don't use that one anymore.
No one comes out you to hug and does this. This is right away when you do this. Women are like, no, we defend ourselves when someone comes towards us. Those are not jazz. Those are gropey hands.
I don't use that one, but I do still use. I use the drool one for food exclusively. I've never used it on a person. Never will use it on a person ever because it just looks like Soylent Green moment right there.
So what's the one that has the air coming out of their mouth? That's like they're huffing. Are they?
Which one? Can you show us?
Yeah, sure.
Tantrum. I don't know.
It's this one. It's like right up here. Right up there.
Oh, where it's like 2 blows of steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like angry, I think. I don't remember what the exact name of that one is, but it is here. I'm going to look up in Unicode what that one is called. And everybody out there is like, yes. Oh, that's called Huffing with Anger face is the name of that one. Huffing with Anger.
Other show title.
It looks like a bull, like a bull gets all.
Yeah, I don't know. My top ones are like the double hearts. I have a cat and bread because I I call my husband Kitten Muffin, and the closest I can get is a cat and bread. So I emoji that, and then he writes back cat bread, and I'm like,
never on here.
and then I have, of course, my the air emoji, the tuft of air.
I like. People think that's a fart.
Yeah, that might be how I use it.
There is a cupcake in the new version, Georgia.
There's a what?
There's a cupcake in the new version. Yeah, like you're gonna have a cupcake soon.
I like a cup. I didn't see the cupcake. How did I miss a cupcake?
I don't know. I've got it on my Mac, and it's called Cupcake. I don't know which version of Unicode it's in though. So.
Oh, I like that. I liked the orangutan in the new one as well. He looks really like the way that they designed it from Emojipedia is, oh, the cupcake's cute. Is adorable. I like the cupcake quite a lot. And does it come in different colors?
No, just the one.
Oh, because you think they could use all of we could get chocolate cupcake, or we could get vanilla or sprinkles.
Sorry, just one cupcake today, folks.
Just one. Oh, it's okay. I'm good. It's actually one of my favorite. Vanilla.
Sorry,
I'm good.
just one cupcake.
One cupcake.
Well, so my most used are the heart eyes. I really like to use the heart eyes. The laughing until you're crying one. The super, super smiley one. It's where the eyes are sort of upside down bows, or arches rather. And then the face is super smiley and it's got red cheeks.
I do like the blushy ones. Those ones are very cute. Yeah.
The kiss with a heart, like from the kiss emoji. One of my favorite ones to use are just the eyes that look to the side, because I use that for like, I'm suspicious about something. I use that for like, oh, I see what you did there. I use that for all sorts of things.
Oh,
or like
cute.
if someone takes way too long to respond, then I'm like teasing them. Then I like my mom. If I'm talking to my mom and then she like disappears, then I'll send that as a joke. And then the winky face emoji. I use that one a lot. Other than that, I would say I've started most recently. There is, let me see what it's called, what it's actually called. It is called Speaking Silhouette Head. And so it's like a blue silhouette of a person, and they've got like speech lines coming out of their mouth. And I use that one.
I thought that was drooling.
No,
see, I haven't been doing good. That's the one where they're like, when you had like the lines at the bottom, they're like, they're blue. There's only one that's blue. Must be him.
Yeah, I will send you the drooly one. Now I can't find the drooling one. But with that one, the reason that I use that one is like when I want to make it seem like I'm shouting something, I will put that shouting person on either side of whatever phrase that I'm uttering, and it's like I'm shouting it.
It makes me feel like you're cold. Oh, that one.
Not that.
I am totally looking at the wrong one. The one that I thought it was the blue. The blue head with freeze. It's freezing.
That one's very cold. Yeah, no, that's
I get that.
So the last one I sent is the drooling face. I'm sure folks are loving this ongoing discussion of emoji. So anyway, stay tuned. There are 230 different sorts of emoji approved in 2019 so far. So be sure to get excited about that, and you'll get a bunch of security updates when you update as well. But we all know why we're excited, and that's for the emoji.
New emoji.
Woo! So let's go ahead and move on to talk about how surprise. Wow, excuse me. Let me try that again, folks. Surprise, companies are still selling your phone location data without consent. So a while back, a report sort of went out and it talked about how companies were selling our data without our consent, and you could like pay a bounty hunter, and that bounty hunter could track you and your family because of these services that were available. So this was kind of like a tell-all. It was revealed, and then companies were like, you know what, that's our bad. I think we're going to just go ahead and start canceling those programs. And it's like, yeah, which you should have done a million years ago, but you didn't. Well, turns out that has not stopped. Carriers made AGPS data available through the chain of information resellers, and it ended up in the hands of over 250 different bounty hunters and related businesses. That is a direct quote from this incredible article from Jerry Hildenbrand over on iMore, which we will include a link to in the show notes. Essentially, folks are still able to pinpoint our location by selling AGPS data. What's going on here, folks?
I mean, like the carriers sell it to a company that's supposed to not do anything with it, and they sell it to another company, they sell it to another company, and whoopsie, nobody's responsible. And then bounty hunters and bail bondsmen and debt collectors and all of them buy the data. And I think it's for the very reason that Tim Cook took the stage twice now to say that we need laws for this thing. We need two sets of laws. We need laws, and he's now expanded it to two sets of laws. We need laws that cover the transparency, collection, retention, availability, and correctability and deletability of our own data. We also need laws that force companies to say not just what data they're collecting, but how they are moving that data towards other companies. So that if AT&T says they're collecting this data and they sell it to company A, they have to report that like he wants the FTC to manage this. But however it's done, he wants to have all these brokerages listed when they take possession of our data. So we know not just who's collecting it, but who's getting possession of it. And then we also have to have a set of rights that transcend companies and go to the government so that they're forced to respect our privacy as well. And they can't just willy-nilly go around, collecting data on us and using it for purposes that may exist entirely outside the law. And these things keep happening. It's like, I don't think, George, has a week gone by where we haven't seen 2 or 3 of these incidents.
No, I think it's going to be greater and greater as well. Like there's a lot of money in this, and without laws in place, no one's going to say, you know what, there's no law against it, so I'm not breaking the law, which a lot of companies use to cover themselves. Well, it isn't against the law. So even just making a law so that people can't get away with saying, well, because it's legal, then that makes it okay, because that's not the truth. A lot of things are actually okay and are right now legal because of old laws or things that have changed, and vice versa. So we need to make sure that there's actually laws in place to be able to protect us, because every company is going to want to maximize the amount of profits that they can make for their shareholders. I can understand that. And then we need to make sure that things are in place to protect us from these companies that, have said that they're doing this just for our own good. And they're not. They don't care. They don't actually care.
Good, I swear.
No.
Honey. This is frustrating, obviously, and it's just a matter of, it's this whole idea that we just don't know really who has our data and how they're using it, and that is something that Tim Cook did talk about and wants to correct. And I think that everyday people aren't necessarily thinking about this, but when they're made aware of it, then I've seen that they also join sort of the fight, so to speak, in wanting more control over your data and more understanding of how your data is being used. It's so frustrating to know that if I were to go through, and I have never, like, I am so close to being the George Dow sitting in my overstuffed leather chair with my bubble pipe, reading through every single point of terms and conditions. I've gotten pretty doggone close to that already. And that's because all these different companies, I say no so much now to different things. One of the cool features, I'll talk about this a little bit. One of the cool features of my health insurance plan through, thanks Obamacare, is that I can do telehealth. So I can do therapy, so behavioral health, and then normal, like, oh, I've got a cold, and I might, this might be something where medicine would help with that. I could talk to a doctor for either of those things. So super cool that I have that option. The app and the service that they use, though, asked me if it could use my Apple Health data through HealthKit, and that was if I was doing, normal. Well, I shouldn't say normal, but if I was doing sort of the kind of thing where it was on the not behavioral health, but the other health, where it's just like, hey, if there's something wrong, then the doctor could look at my blood pressure readings, my this reading and my that reading, and see if there was something going on there. And because I've only ever planned to use the app right now for behavioral health, then there was no reason for my, behavioral health, my therapist, my psychologist to have that information unless they absolutely needed it and gave me a good reason to. Then I could say yes. So where before I would have just been like, yes, through the whole app, I have gotten a lot more careful about that. And I think that the continuing advocacy that's taking place on the case of these leaders of companies, and then those of us who are, talking about this stuff as journalists or what have you, I think that it's good. And I think that it makes a change overall. And I think that we have to continue to advocate to get people to stop saying yes, 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 and not paying any attention to it. Because I really do feel like we're on the bridge of it no longer being an ongoing joke that has been in place forever, that everybody just says, oh yes, I accept the terms and conditions. Like we all used to laugh about that. Haha, yeah, we just see the terms and conditions, we just scroll to the bottom and we click accept. That has got to stop being funny, because it's not funny, and it means that folks are not knowing how their data is being used and shared, and who it's being shared with, and how it's being shared. And there are too many companies out there who don't have our best, what is the word? They don't have
interest.
Yes, thank you. Our best interest in heart. I have no idea why I couldn't think of that, but yeah, they don't have our best interest at heart, and we have to be aware of that and accept that it's time to be more vigilant and more protective.
And you're absolutely right. It's really hard to read through this and make any sense to it. And you want to be able to use an application. I don't understand why a makeup application needs to know where I'm located, what I'm doing, what other apps I use, and where I'm going with that, and the other technology that I use. That like they try there. And again, I get it. They're gathering as much information that they can, and they want to cover their own tails so that they don't get sued. But it should be legible, it should be clear, it should be concise, you should understand what that is. And I would love if they told us why they would need that information, how it's specifically going to be used, and what would happen. I would love it to be if they change their terms and conditions that all of the things that I said yes to are null and void. If they sell a company, I think that me saying yes to the thing, I said yes to you. So it's like me saying yes to Micah. And I say, yeah, Micah, for sure, you can have my phone number. And then Micah says, you know what? I'm going to have Bob take over all of Micah's duties. He's now going to be your friend, Bob. And so now he's going to have your information and get to do the show for me.
Is now being played by Bob.
Bob's going to get to do the show with us now. He's going to have the phone number. He's going to chat. He's going to sing thank you for being a friend with you.
Aww.
And I'm like, wait a second. No, I said yes to Micah. I didn't say yes to Bob. He's like, it's sorry. You know what? Bob's taking over. That's the way that it goes. And he now has all of your rights.
Bob has all of your rights, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do.
I really like that, though. That is a good way to sort of look at it. Here's Bob.
Oh.
I'm taking over from now on. I'll be your friend.
Actually, Bob seems really sweet. This
yeah,
might work out.
honestly, I'm a lot nicer than Micah. He's kind of a turd, but I'm a great guy.
How dare you,
I think
sir.
there's an emoji
How
for that.
dare you.
I think there's an emoji
There
for
is
that.
a poo emoji, and it doesn't even require multiple emoji to make. Anyway, I'm Bob, and I have your phone number now. I hope you're okay with that.
I kind of am.
I thought
Oh,
that
you're
was-
cute. You're really adorable, Bob. I think you're right. You know, it's that easy to sign it all over.
That's very sweet of you. You have great hair. I hope you know.
God, Bob's a liar.
Oh my God, the shade!
Ow.
Wow. I am not responsible for any damage that comes to Renee because of Georgia using her falcons to.
I'm getting it anyway. This is just me
that's
trying
That's
to
probably
go out.
true. That's probably
Yeah,
true.
trying to earn the demise that is inevitable.
It is inevitably you will at some point you will face demise. Oh God, Bob's stuck on my finger now, and I can't
She
get him
just
off.
snaps her fingers and half of me
I
disappears.
think he's trying to kill Bob.
I was trying to wipe away Bob. Oh wait, I am Bob. I was trying to wipe away Micah, and he won't go away. Sorry, everyone out there who had to hear that and didn't get to see it. I drew a little face on my finger, and his name was Bob. So
R.I.P. Bob.
that's what's going on. Yeah, and now to you, Bob. Oh, the weather out here is frightful, but by this fire, it's really delightful. Let's go ahead. We have just enough time for one last topic, and that is a picks topic. So I've asked everybody to sort of talk about one thing that's got them excited lately, that they've seen that they want to share with other folks. I dropped something in the show notes that I was going to talk about, but I forgot that I've got another product that actually has me more excited. And so I'm going to talk about that instead. But I don't want to go first unless you folks.
I can go.
Okay, Renee, you go first then.
So I'm dropping the link in the show notes now, but oh, it's right near here. I should have picked it up. But when I was a kid growing up in South Africa, one of the snacks we had was called biltong, and it's like beef jerky, but it's a different process. So it ends up tasting different. Now, when I was a kid, you'd get it from deer or from ostrich, or from the animals in Africa are different. Here, it's made mostly with organic beef. But it's got a very specific taste. You can get regular biltong. You can get hunter's biltong, which is a little bit sweeter. They include sugar in the curing process, or you can get chili bites, which have chili included in the curing process, which are much spicier. And I found, because almost everyone from South Africa moved to Toronto, I found places in Toronto that are willing to ship it to Montreal, because we don't know from biltong here. But there's also Alex Lindsay, friend of mine from MacBreak Weekly, who goes to Africa a lot. He found an American place that ships organic biltong. So I put the link to that in the show notes. But there are these little sticks of chewy, yummy, beefy products, and if you are not opposed to that sort of snack food, then it'll give you just a little bit of insight into how people in other parts of the world were forced to preserve their meats, originally for survival and now just for parties.
Oh, that sounds so cool. So I was a vegetarian for like 9 years, and the one thing that I missed more than anything else while I was a vegetarian was beef jerky. I love beef jerky, which it's salty. It's not great for you, but I love beef jerky and I don't care. And so that was one of the first things that I ate when I went off of being a vegetarian. And now I'm reading about biltong, and it sounds very good, and I'm curious.
Just to keep it non-tech for now.
Yeah. So George Dow, do you have
I
something
don't
you
know
want to
if
talk about?
I mentioned this last time, but we're looking into the Knuckle controllers for VR. It's the thing that we're waiting for. There was an article on iMore that's like, it's released. They were like, released? Yeah, it's not yet out there. But they're controllers that you can let go of. So with the HTC Vive, you have to hold on to them. The Knuckle controllers have a little tiny flap that goes around the hand. So when you throw something in VR, you don't throw your controllers, because you can release it and it's still stuck to your hand. Now I'm going to still have to add something to my wrist, because odds are I get too excited and I will really, when I throw something, now that I can open up my hand, I might have more oomph than I expect and a controller will go flying. But it's a really nice thing, because I have to say that is the difference that I like Oculus better than the HTC Vive. It is actually the controllers. Oculus, in some way, the controller is better, though I like HTC Vive more for their tracking. They're very close right now.
All right. Well, I still need to somehow make my way up to Canada so I can check out. I've not experienced like real VR. And
you have to come over.
I guess I did come to Canada.
Come to Canada. So I lied. I cannot show you the thing that I was going to show you, because it is still under embargo until the middle of the month. So going back to my original thing, Eve Home. It used to be Elgato Eve. Then Elgato and Eve got into a tussle. No, they didn't. But Elgato became the gaming company that makes gaming capture cards and that kind of stuff. And Eve Home became the company that makes smart home products. And Eve Home has released a new Eve Home light strip. So for folks who don't know, a light strip is kind of what it sounds like. And I've actually got one behind me. That's not the Eve one, but that is a light strip.
Love light strips.
It is a strip of different LEDs along a line, and you can control how it lights up. The one that's behind me is a LifeX one, and I'm actually going to adjust here just to show you. I usually like to do the intense color and then the move effect. So that will sort of bring those colors along the stream there, so you can see it's going from like pink.
It's like it's growing. I like that
Yeah.
one. I like that one. I don't think my light strip does that.
And so that's what I want to talk about here. So the Eve Home light strip, what's interesting, first of all, is that Eve Home is known for making Bluetooth LE products. So you connect over Bluetooth to this HomeKit enabled product, and your phone or your iPad or your Apple TV or your HomePod will communicate with those devices to send a signal and control it. The light strip, however, is Wi-Fi enabled. I am a proponent. I love Wi-Fi enabled stuff over Bluetooth enabled stuff. And the reason why is because the connection is more solid and stable, and they respond a lot faster. So when I found out that the Eve light strip was Wi-Fi enabled, I was actually super excited about it. It is one of the brightest light strips on the market, so that's super cool. But like the Philips Hue light strip, it only allows you to choose one color across the whole stream of the strip. This one behind me, the LifeX strip, the reason why it's able to do that moving thing is because it's got multiple zones of color. And so each of those zones is independently controlled and can show up in that blue or purple or pink or whatever. I mean, any color across the millions of colors that can be displayed. So I'm a little disappointed that Eve went with the more standard Philips Hue style where it's one color across the whole thing. But at the same time, it is really well made. Yeah, like I said, it's Wi-Fi controlled as opposed to Bluetooth controlled. And it comes from a company that I really do love in terms of the HomeKit enabled products that they sell. Eve Home is one of the first sort of, you can almost exclusively go all in on Eve products and completely outfit your home in every HomeKit enabled accessory that you'd want. So they are sort of trying to cover this wide swath of different options. And I think that's pretty cool. So if you wanted to just stick with one company, then you could. But that is the Eve Home Light Strip. And I think it's pretty cool. All right, folks. That's going to do it for us this week. I want to thank everybody out there for listening. If Lori Gill were here, she'd tell you could find her at APPAHOLIK. That's Appaholic on Twitter, or at Lori Gill on most other social things. Renee Ritchie, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
At Renee Ritchie on all the social things, or youtube.com/Vector Show, where we're just celebrating 1 year. 1 year on Tuesday, or Wednesday, something like that. 1 year of Vector. And thank you for your very kind message, Marcus Sargent. That was delightful of you.
You're welcome. It's genuinely been incredible watching this stuff that you put out. Oh, really cool.
Thank you so much.
Georgia Dow, if people want to get help with anxiety, depression, emotional intelligence, I mean, so many different things, where do they go?
So you can check out anxiety-videos or master-life.com, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, sleep, parenting.
Sleep.
Sleep one is pretty good. And if not, you can send me an email, georgia@imore.com. I'm trying to get off of all the social media things.
Now, how long until you release an ASMR tape?
I probably won't. I don't know. I think that's like another.
You have such a soothing voice, though. It would be nice to be like, oh, and now I'm playing.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's actually ever said that before.
Really?
Yeah.
I genuinely feel you have a soothing voice.
Really?
Yes. Weird. I'm surprised that no one's ever said that, but they all love your giggle, so that's good.
Or hate.
Oh, a tape of giggles. It's a master mix of Georgia giggles.
There you go. That is the ASMR. Thank you, Georgia Dow. If you're looking for me online, you can find me at Micah Sargent, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where you'll find links to the different things that I do. You can find all of our writing over at iMore.com. Thanks so much to Jim Metzendorf for editing this show and making us sound fantastic every week. We'll, of course, be back next week with more awesome stuff to talk about. I hope, depending on when you're listening to this, you have a great week or weekend. And this, folks, has been The iMore Show.